Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and GameStop might be shooting themselves in the foot when it comes to their endeavors in trying to enter into the retro gaming market. As many of you know, not only have they been carrying more retro games in their stores and online, but now they're designating actual retro game stores. And at first, this was pretty exciting, and I think it's been exciting over the past week for everyone who's been hearing the news and who's been going out trying to see what they can find from a retro standpoint. However, there's something else that GameStop is doing that they're not making as much noise about, or they're not bringing as much attention to. So as GameStop starts to dive deeper into their retro inventory, and as they start to make retro games more of a focal point when it comes to the things that they sell and promote in their stores, this also means that they're paying closer attention to the price of these retro games, whereas before they weren't doing that. So there were many PS3 and 360 and even PS2 and even some Super Nintendo and Genesis games that GameStop had priced well under market value, because that wasn't really what they were focused on. And you could tell just in how these games were being sold and the price points at which GameStop was selling them. And I'm going to be coming out with a video here in the next couple of weeks, just highlighting all of the retro games that I've been able to pick up from GameStop over this past year. And when you look at that video, you're going to see how the pricing has shifted. But my point is that GameStop is now doing what a lot of mom and pop shops did back in 2021 and 2022, which was when you would go into some of these mom and pop retro game stores, they wouldn't necessarily have the prices on the games, and they would wait until you brought the game you wanted to the counter. And when you told them you were interested and you wanted to know the price, they would pull out their phone, go to price charting or go to eBay, and then give you either the last sold price or some type of price charting price, without really kind of doing any real due diligence into the sales history and pricing history of the game. And so this is what GameStop is now doing. And I have a prime example of them doing this. And I've shown you other examples over this past week with them increasing the prices on games such as X-Men Origins, Wolverine Uncaged. About 2 weeks ago, I picked that game up for about $26 from GameStop. Then the price jumped up to $45. And then the last time I saw that game at GameStop, it was $65. So that tells me that GameStop is doing a week over week price check on their inventory, and that's not fun. That kind of sucks really the advantage that GameStop has, because let's be honest, there's really no other advantage to buying games at GameStop outside of the pricing. Their employees have little to no knowledge on retro games. They don't do a really good job of quality control when it comes to the games that they sell. As far as cartridge-based games, they've been known to sell a lot of reproduction games. And then most importantly, they don't really sell those retro games in the condition that most retro collectors want, which is complete in box, especially when it comes to disc-based games. But I'm going to show you an example of what I'm talking about here in a minute. But before I get to that, I figured I'd share with you some retro finds that I was able to get, starting with this PSP copy of Patapon. Now, this is not a GameStop pickup. I actually found this at my local thrift store, and this is a game that I've wanted to get into my collection for quite some time. I just never found a copy that I was willing to spend the money for, but this was $3.50 at the retro game store. I think they have the cover art flipped upside down or something. It's like backwards. But it did come with a pretty beat up manual, and there goes the disc there. Pretty decent game, right? This is one of the kind of staple games on the PSP, and it's funny because I never had it. So I will be checking this out later on tonight to see if this is all I've heard it's cracked up to be, but a very interesting one. Glad I was able to find it for $3.50. And then another PSP classic that I got here is Loco Roco on the PSP. Another one of these like kind of cutesy, another one of these cutesy games that I found on the PSP. A nice little cute adventure game. This and Patapon, located both of these at the retro game store. $7 is what these two cost me. And I don't really find a lot of PSP stuff that like I want to add to the collection. So whenever I do, I'll snag it up. Not the best condition. I would say that these are a 5 or 6 out of 10 when it comes to condition. A little bit of water damage, it looks like on the cover art. But overall, I felt like they were unique finds. I don't often run into quality PSP games. I'm typically running into like, all-star baseball and stuff like that. So seeing that stuff was pretty cool. I didn't get to go to all of the GameStops that I wanted to this weekend. It's been a very busy weekend. I've just been all over the place. And sidebar, I've been binging. I don't really do a lot of TV shows. I don't watch a lot of TV series, but I just started watching Preacher. I guess it's a show that was coming on AMC. Very strange show, but for some reason I can't get enough of that thing. I've been binging it lately, so a little tired. I'm gonna have to go to bed tonight, but I have been watching that. But anyway, back to the games. So I did get to go to a couple GameStops, and I'll share with you one pickup that I was able to find, which was this really clean copy of Midnight Club Los Angeles Complete Edition. This is highway robbery for this game. This is really like an $8 or $10 game. I picked it up from GameStop because it was in pretty good condition. Whenever I find this game, it's really beat to hell. The manual and the disc are all jacked up. A lot of times it doesn't even have the manual, but this was a good looking copy here. So I did pick this one up. I've been getting into some of the racing games. I played a lot of racing games on PC as a kid, a lot of Need for Speed. So gonna get back into it a little bit. I'm not gonna go crazy and pick up all the Gran Turismo games and things like that, but Midnight Club is one that I had my eye on rather for quite some time. And so I decided to pick it up. Now, the last game that I picked up is a prime example of GameStop doing price matching, and I'll talk to you a little bit about it. So I was in GameStop and I ran into this copy of Armored Core. Now, this is Armored Core, the Four Answer game on the PS3. I am a fan of Armored Core. I did have some of the Armored Core games on PS2, sold those off when I sold off a bunch of PlayStation 2 games, but I did pick this one up because it is a pretty good version of the game, a very good installment in this series, and I decided to go ahead and add this one. I ran into it at one of my local GameStops. Now, this pricing on this game is pretty much market value, right? So there was no real deal here. There were no real savings. This game right now, I've seen it listed on eBay anywhere between 75 and 110 bucks. I've seen some sold comps that have recently sold for over 100 bucks. So it's probably gonna land somewhere in the 85 to $90 range. I picked it up because it was clean. It was a very clean copy. The disc was in great shape, and it did come with a manual that was in great shape. So finding it complete definitely was why I added this one here. And I feel like the PS3, these games are just like, no one's talking about it, but the PlayStation 3 is definitely on the rise, like value wise and pricing wise. I know people have been saying it for years, like if you want to get into the PS3, buy now before the wave comes. But I think we are at that 7th gen period, and people are snagging up PS3 and 360 games left and right. So do not sleep, especially when it comes to these like more rarer titles. But the point of the matter is that this is a game that 2 months ago would have been like $35. But I asked the young lady when I got to the register, I was like, wow, $75, $80 for a PS3 game? And she told me, she was like, yeah, GameStop has been price checking everything. They've been price checking all of their inventory to match what the market ask is. And I asked her, I was like, how often do they do this? She was like, I'm not really sure. She wasn't really sure if they have a system that just automatically updates it. But if you go into your GameStop, like a lot of times you'll go into GameStop and you'll see them have those sticker printouts with price tags on it. I've been seeing that a lot lately in every GameStop that I go to. I'm seeing a bunch of price tags, and it looks like they're increasing the prices on a lot of these games to reflect what the ask is in the current market. Now, this could do a couple things to retro gaming, right? One, in a lot of ways, I feel like this validates the prices that we see on price charting and eBay for some of these games. So for a lot of folks who are thinking that like, the price of these games are going to drop or they're going to tank Eventually, I really don't see that happening, especially if GameStop now begins to validate these asking prices by increasing the prices in store, because they were kind of like the last bastion for a place that you could go and find, typically high priced games for under market value. We already know that retro game stores are going to have those games priced pretty much at market value. If you go to a gaming convention, most booths are going to have these games priced at market value. eBay and Mercari and all these other line stores, in a way, they kind of set the market value. So, with all these places just kind of establishing these prices and holding true to these prices, it's safe to say that these prices won't really drop, barring any major financial catastrophe in general. And so it's kind of sucks for GameStop, because, like I said at the beginning of the video, I think that their leg up, or their one up on the competition, which in my opinion, in this space, when it comes to retro, their competition is the mom and pop shops. Their competition is eBay, and it is Mercari, and it is the online stores. Their real advantage was really their pricing, because it definitely wasn't the condition of the games that they sold, and it definitely wasn't their quality control. I would even go as far as even saying that it's definitely not even their customer service, because a lot of people complain about the in-store experience. So when I see them diving into this retro realm while at the same time increasing prices, I think they're in for a shock when it comes to how this is all going to pan out, because I don't think it's going to pan out the way they think it will. And unless they're going to have like real heat in their stores, and by heat I mean like those rare titles that everyone wants, and unless they're going to have it at under market, genuine, real, and they're providing knowledgeable customer service, I don't really see why people will want to go there for these games. But I'm interested to know what you think. I know a lot of people have been hitting up their retro game stops. I know a lot of people have been talking about this over this past week and even into this weekend. It's Labor Day weekend, so I know a lot of people have time off and time to go out and shop and game hunt. Let me know what you're seeing out there. Let me know what you're finding. I'm interested to know your thoughts. It's the Y2K Collector. Like I said, I'll be probably putting out a video tomorrow just going over like the best retro pickups that I've gotten from GameStop over this summer, just to kind of show you what's possible, what you can possibly find, because I know a lot of people are saying that they're only seeing 360 and PS3, but maybe by seeing some of what I've picked up, it'll kind of help you have an eye, or keep an eye out for some things to look for. That does it for me today. Hopefully you had a great Saturday. I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.